Hello YouTube. Today I'm going to share with you my top 3 calisthenic movements for the chest. And in this episode, of course, I'm going to be focusing mainly on push-ups. Now, for me, the way I build my chest personally is a mix of bench press and push-ups. I found that I cannot just rely on body weight or even weighted push-ups because I just cannot seem to hit the pectoral muscles enough to create any type of relevant stimulus. But because I love doing the exercise so much, I've never been able to go without it. I've always done push-ups my entire life. I've been doing push-ups, and so it's a staple in my training, and it's especially true in winter. I don't know why. When winter time comes, I get an urge in my chest to do more and more push-ups. And so I have, with time, narrowed down my top 3 favorite variations of the push-ups that I want to share with you, because many people think that push-ups are for novices, and that couldn't be further away from the truth. People who are advanced, people with a lot of muscle mass in their chest and arms can still get good benefits from push-ups, and that is something I want to share with you. So let's get started with the first type of exotic push-ups that I recommend you guys do. That variation is the diamond push-up. The diamond push-up is a variation where you're going to position your hands in the form of a diamond, and it's going to recruit more triceps. You're going to go through a longer range of motion, and you're going to feel that because of the angle of the arm and the elbow, you're going to recruit much more arms. Of course, the chest is still being involved, but to a lesser extent. And so that is a very good way to actually grow your arms for the people who do a ton of bench press, a ton of dips, but who never actually get any tricep development, or at least not as much as you would like. This is going to be an easy way for you at the end of the workout to slap 2 or 3 sets of diamond push-ups and just do them to failure. Do an AMRAP 3 times in a row, and you're going to see good results because you're going to have opened the day with your dips or your bench press. You're going to be pre-fatigued, and so you're not going to waste any relevant volume. It's why I said that for me, I cannot use push-ups just for the pure progression aspect, because now it's not enough for me to grow off. But if I trick the body and I start with bench press variations and then I do push-ups, I'm pre-fatigued and the intensity of the push-ups artificially increases. So that's a good method. You can also, and I recommend to try it, do deficit diamond push-ups. This is the variation that I've fallen in love with this winter because it increases the range of motion, so it's even tougher on the triceps. And on top of that, I found that it's a very good shoulder movement. For me, I don't want big shoulders, but I have found that in this case in particular, the type of stretch and the type of stimulus and response I get in the shoulder from that type of push-up is exactly where I want it to be. It's not too much, it still focuses on the chest and the triceps, but it gives that additional work that can make the difference and round the shoulder up. So that is the very first exotic type of push-ups that you can start doing today to get better results. As far as the diamond itself, you can do it strict, you can actually go wider with the diamond, just don't over-exaggerate or you're going to be right back to a normal push-up. But keep in mind that you can also play with the position of the diamond in relation to the torso. So you're going to find that the closer you are to your abs when you do that type of push-ups, the more chest you're going to recruit, and the closer you are to your head when it comes to positioning the diamond, the more arms you're going to recruit. So play with that. It can be a good way again to spice up your chest workout. Now, the second exotic chest exercise I'm going to share with you is ring push-ups. Many people are already aware that rings are amazing, but I still find them underrated, especially for chest. I don't see many people using them, and it's a shame because if you like normal push-ups, like I do, you're going to love ring push-ups. It's everything good with a normal push-ups, minus all of the disadvantages. For example, the wrist pain that can come from normal push-ups is eliminated by the rings. The fact that your range of motion is limited because the floor is touching your chest is gone with the ring push-up. You can literally go as deep as you want. All of that is just the perfect mix of things that are going to make you want to do them all the time. And to me, that's a staple for the type of exercise like calisthenic movements that you're supposed to do with high frequency and high volume. You cannot really get away with doing that once every 15 days. You have to want to do it. And since they're really fun and really easy to recover from, you're going to want to do them. So, as for the way to do them per se, you are going to find that it's very instinctive. You can place your hands wherever you want. You can rotate them wherever you want. Some people like to go through the full supinated rotation at the top. It's up to you. For me, if you do ring push-ups, a must do, in my opinion, is to actually do the chest squeeze at the top, because it doesn't cost anything and it actually feels good. It helps with the mind-muscle connection. So make sure that you do that for the actual connection that you're going to get with the muscle. Even if it does nothing for hypertrophy, it's going to make it feel better, so you'll want to do it more. And then at the bottom, the goal of a ring push-up is to go through the maximum stretch. Of course, safely, if you don't have good mobility in the shoulder, it can be a bad idea, but this is your chance to stretch those pectorals more than they are stretched if you do a bench, for example. I know that for me, when I do bench, because of my leverages, yes, the pecs are being stretched, yes, they are being intensely taxed, but I don't go through as much range of motion as I could go. So I do that on the ring push-ups. And they're going to be your best friends if you actually give them a chance. I guarantee you that. They're also really good because it helps with core stabilization, which is always a plus. Now, if you want to make them even more interesting, you can do them in a fly setup per se. So you're going to have a neutral grip. You're going to start the movement with a neutral grip, and you're going to go to the bottom and really allow the chest to expand and stretch. When you push up, you can rotate them back into a neutral or normal position, which is with your fists that are actually facing forward like this. It's what I like to do. You can stay like this if you prefer. But the goal of that particular movement is going to be to allow again the expansion at the bottom. So it's like you're doing a fly, but with your body weight. And you're going to find that it's extremely challenging. So when you start, you might have to actually do a close grip, keep the elbows tucked close to the body, because it gives you a better leverage. You have less moment arm. And the more you progress, the more you can open. And if you're really advanced, you can open as much as your chest allows. Personally, for me, I usually stick with the width of the rack, and that's already plenty. That is going to be a way for people who can never seem to recruit that inner chest to finally feel it. For me, I feel it the most in that exercise in particular. And so it's also a very good tool to have in your arsenal. Keep in mind that many people who injured their pectoral muscle or tendons did so because they spent so much time training in select range of motion, and they never go deeper than that. So their muscle becomes, in a sense, unused to that particular range. And when something happens, when for some reason they go deeper one day, or they try actually an exercise that is more challenging, well, their pecs snap. And a good way to prevent that is to go through that extra range of motion, to go through that extra stretch with an exercise like the ring push-ups with only body weight that allows you to control the negative and see if something goes wrong, understand the limitation of the muscle and the joint, and work through it, get your mobility through it. So the best mix would be a heavy horizontal push and then your ring push-ups to complement it. And for the third exercise, this one I'm almost certain you've never heard of it, maybe once or twice, but it's really unheard of because it's not super effective for hypertrophy, at least at first glance, meaning that it's a push-up variation that does work the chest, but the primary benefits are outside of the range of what most people consider to be good for the development of the pecs, which is the stretch, the ability to actually go into flexion at the shoulder joint, etc. This actually removes the flexion at the shoulder joint completely. The shoulders are stabilized. But the beauty of this Sphinx push-up is that it's going to train other qualities that are going to transfer and are also going to make certain parts of the body more aesthetic. So the goal of that push-up is, as you can see in the footage, to actually use the elbows to set up, and then from that position, you're going to push with the hands. So you're going to use the entirety of the musculature of the tricep to push yourself up and then control yourself down. And so, in a sense, it's a way to try the tricep in isolation, quote unquote, with body weight only, which is something that many people try to do and fail because it always involves the chest or the shoulder to a great extent. So that's a very good way. And to me, the reason why I like that type of push-up in particular is because for those of you who do planks, if you do one of my programs and there are planks in there, well, you can start the set of planks with Sphinx push-ups, and when you are burnt out and your triceps cannot go anymore, you stick with the planche. You actually try to hold the planche. That is going to make it more fun. Because the Sphinx push-ups forces you to go through the movement, you're going to find that your core is going to be very challenged. And that is excellent because planks can get very boring, especially with just body weight. And a good way to make them more intense is to pre-fatigue the core with an extreme type of stabilization, then do a normal stabilization that is passive instead of active. And you're going to find that it cuts down on the time you can actually stick to the plank, but it doesn't reduce the hypertrophic benefit because the amount of stabilization and rigidity in the core and lower back required to do Sphinx push-ups is intense. I actually would tell you to be careful when you start because you're going to tremble. You're going to feel that you're not perfectly there. You don't have the strength to maintain and brace for that movement, and it's because you're untrained for that. But if you can get to a point where you can do 20 Sphinx push-ups without a break solidly, it's going to improve your ability to actually hold planks, which is going to carry over to your ability to work your abs. So for hypertrophy, yes, it doesn't work the chest, but it trains the ability to work the chest in an indirect fashion. So I really recommend it. Just be careful with that movement. It does require a ton of shoulder stabilization. And if your real delts are untrained, they're going to hurt, they're going to burn. And the goal is not to get injured. But also, because that tension is there, it means that it also helps build that part of the shoulder. So that's another additional aspect that makes that type of push-up so interesting and something that I truly believe you guys should try. If you've watched the video, you've noticed that the further away your hands are from your head, the more difficult, quote unquote, it becomes in terms of stabilization, not in terms of movement. The difficulty doesn't vary much. I personally do find that if my hands are underneath me or close to my jaw in that movement, it tends to make it tougher because it increases the range of motion for the tricep, but it really becomes a challenge to actually maintain the position if the hands are up front because your balance is all out of whack. So it's also something that is going to be challenging for the people who are not really good at calisthenics, but I encourage you to become good at that type of movements because it can be a very good way to make sure that you develop your body in a balanced way. And at the end of the day, it's going to help you stay aesthetic and not carry too much fat that is unneeded. My advice for people in general, and it's why I always encourage people to keep push-ups in their training if they mainly train the chest with bench press, is that if your bench goes up but your push-ups goes down and you lose the ability to move the body, there might be a chance that your bench strength is going up because you're adding fat on your frame. And if you're a bodybuilder, that's not what you want to do. So use these 3 types of push-ups I shared to build your body, but also to make sure that you keep it balanced. And I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.